It's just a beautiful day to walk as one. That walk, out of everything, I just wanted people to be here and to walk around 5 blocks that way, 1 block over, and 5 blocks back to represent the history of residential schools and the children that we're taking, the ones that are lost, the ones that today still battle and are survivors and warriors from the traumas that happened in the past. We're not here to put down any societies, any churches, any way like that. We're here to be here today in the present and honor the warriors that survived, the ones that are in the spirit world, my ancestors, Hazel and Donald Mitchell. You know, I think of them and what they went through. Donald died in Riverview at a psych ward in Vancouver, and my grandma Hazel died in our UHMBC hospital of cirrhosis of the liver. So I honor them, and I put my efforts in to honor them and to understand the tragedies and the traumas that happened to them and the voices that they didn't have, the language that was lost, the ability to not wake up and have those morning kisses with your mom and dad. There's a saying out there, and not being able to just confide in a family-oriented way. So, you know, I think of my Dutch side. I think of my grandma and grandpa that fled from Holland to come here because they were being slaughtered in a war, right? So there's traumas, but today we're honoring our Indigenous elders that are here. If you're an elder and you are here today and you are a residential school survivor, Tabi Masai Kyo, from my heart to your family and your walk of life, thank you. I understand trauma. I understand the history a little more than I did growing up because I never knew. I never knew anything about residential schools, about my family, because they weren't able to be there. My dad was an alcoholic and couldn't be there, amongst other abusive ways of life that just couldn't be there. And when I went to Wilpsaset in 2017 and 13, took a couple tries, I found out about why that part of my roots was the way they were, and today I get to stand here, recovered 7 years, September 6th, 7 years on the Red Road, and I do this because I love people. I love people. That's basically what it is, and I honor the histories. I want to bring up Elder Darlene McIntosh, please, to do the opening prayer.
Bandana Hunzu, good morning. So great to see so many people out here today. And we must remember that we are in the traditional unceded territories of the Lheidli people. And so all the spaces that you are in, you remember the Lheidli people who went to Lejac, and the children and the grandchildren of those people, because there is intergenerational trauma. And my mother went to Lejac, and all of her siblings. We've got my Uncle Clifford here, got my nephew Clay here, and so we come to support, and we're with each and every one of you, and it's so nice that we have that support. So in saying that, I want you to take a nice deep cleansing breath throughout your whole body. Nice deep cleansing breath. As we breathe into our body, we connect to a deeper level of ourselves, the true essence. And that's where your light is. So breathe into that light, bring that light out, and then share it with those around you. We want this whole area lit with the light of unconditional love and support, and bring awareness to what happened in the past, but also remember that there's hope in the future. So I'll get you to bow your heads, please, and no matter where you're from, just bring that belief system in for this morning. So we ask Creator, the grandfathers and the grandmothers and all of our ancestors to come be with us today. We thank you for this beautiful autumn day, creating a sacred space for what will be taking place as we acknowledge National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, as we honor and uplift survivors of the residential schools, the day schools, and the 60 Scoop. This is an important day as we realign ourselves to a brighter future. We come together as a community as a way to strengthen and impart good medicine. Let us understand what truth and reconciliation means. Let us heal as we see all the orange shirts commemorating the loss of our children in residential schools, the loss of our culture, our language, and our lands. And let the tears flow, letting go of the hurt and injustice done to our First Nations people. Creator, hear our prayer. We thank you for all the participation. We thank you for the knowledge and wisdom that will be shared. As the winds bring a change of weather, they also bring a change that is needed to move forward as the community at large looks at truth and reconciliation and the 94 calls to action. Justice Minister Murray Sinclair said, "We must strive for justice, not just in theory, but in practice. Reconciliation requires us to confront our own biases and prejudice. We must recognize and celebrate the contributions of Indigenous people to our country. Creator, hear our prayers. Let us take the stand to see where we can best support our people. It takes a community as we gather together to apply best practices to support and implement a strategic plan of action. When one heals, we all heal. Creator, hear our prayers. It is our sacred obligation giving Indigenous voices on reconciliation for our people. As we speak our truth, which addresses our inner being, speaking our truth through Indigenous culture, drumming, connecting with the beat of our mother's heart, singing and dancing, connecting to the spirit of the land. We thank Creator for guiding us on the good red road of instituting plans that will work on making us whole in all aspects of who we are. As the sun is high in the sky, warming us in the coolness of the northern energy, it touches our spirit, asking us to come into the wisdom of our hearts. We thank Mother Earth for allowing us to walk softly on her, leaving no footprints. May all those present go home knowing what you will receive today will benefit all. And we ask you, Creator, to keep our people safe today, and may tomorrow be a good day. All my relations, Snichelia, thank you.
First, we're going to have a moment of silence. We're going to honor a Clay Lieutenant Elder, Edie Frederick, who has passed on, and her mother as well, Josie Paul. And we're going to listen to "O Canada," sung by Edie Frederick. So we're going to do that moment of silence, and I'm going to get Doug here to play it.
Tebehun zu hunt o, tebehun sha hunt o, bakadanet in me. O Canada, bak etzinski. O Canada, bak etzinski. O Canada, bak adanet in me. O Canada, bak adanet in me.
The loss of Edie has been heavy coming into this day, and her mother, she was trying to organize her mother's celebration of life. She got in a car accident. And she always supported, like Darlene has, and the medicine that I myself and the drum group, UHMBC drummers, share on the territory. And she wanted the song to be shared out there and to bring all people together, right? So hopefully we get to learn it and we can drum it, but to hear her voice and to follow her wishes and her dreams, you know, it's absolutely amazing to be able to do that here on the Lheidli territory in Prince George, British Columbia, Canada. And we honor. She just wants to honor, and I want to honor. I can't speak for her, but we want to just become one people. So I'm going to ask all the children, if they're able to come stand up in front here. All the children. We need some volunteers, and it's okay. You aren't going to have to do anything, but just stand here. Every child matters. These are our future leaders. These are the ones that we need to set examples for. These beautiful human beings are young and pure, and they see, hear, feel, and mimic everything we do. So when they hear the drum, they connect with it. It's a proven fact in the past 4.5 years that I've been out in the community. Not only the children, but you adults and elders, it brings you together. So when we say every child matters, we're not shutting the door on the history of what happened, because it's happened to all races and genders, or races and people in some way or form on this planet Earth. Creator believes in spirits, our spirits in these human bodies. And we all have a beautiful light in that spirit, but the lightest and the brightest are right here. So let's honor these beautiful young ones today and give them chips and pop. We'll have a chips and pop party and get ice cream wasted. No, but we need some humor, right? We need that humor, we need that love, and you know, okay, you all have to start dancing right now. I'm just kidding. If you can all turn around and look at me, you see these beautiful roses? Yeah. Can you grab them and hand them out to the people? I'd be honored if you did that. Make sure you come to them too, and they're going to hand these orange roses and the red roses, and we're just going to show love with the rose, right? Let's share that heartbeat with these roses and these beautiful children that are going to hand it out to you. And again, thank you to the donors, Waste Management, and all those that help with these roses, to hand them out and be part of this day. And while they're doing that, I'm going to ask the UHMBC drum group and any drummer to come line up in front with your drums, please.
Walk with love. Let's just start with a nice beat together, everybody. Nice and easy. Feel that beat. Feel that
is Clayton Gauthier. Need I say more? All my relations.
Hey, Lefty. Thanks for having me here today. Good to see you guys. I forgot my jersey. I was gonna wear it too. Clayton Gauthier. I was born here in Prince George. My family, my bloodline comes from Nakasley, Watan, and Northern Cree, Slave Lake, Alberta. I'm blessed to share a little bit with you today. As you can see in front of us here, you know, art has always been a big part of my life, and these were actually visions that have came to me, and they actually came to light. You know, doing art like this in the community, creating new ways of seeing and being. Art has always been there for me. It's always been my medicine. It's always been something that I can go to. Art is always something that showing me love. Art never ever judged me. Art never ever doubted me. You know, art was always there for me. Now this art is starting to fly around. It's starting to go to different places, bringing people together. So blessed to have art in my life. And for all the young kids here, keep doing your art. Keep doing your art. Keep doing what you love. It'll bring you places you never thought to expect. And you know, through my healing journey, I've come to see a lot of our hardships, a lot of our misunderstandings, a lot of our worries, a lot of our doubts, a lot of our fears are not our fault. It's not our fault. This is just the world that we've been born into. So when we look at that, let's do our best to be gentle with ourselves. Can everybody just shut their eyes for a moment and think about yourself? Look at all the beauty that you hold. Look at all the beauty that you've accomplished. Look at all the powers that we're blessed with. Look at yourself and say, I love you. Say it out loud. I love you. I love you. Let's think of Creator. Creator blessed us to be here. It's such an honor to be sharing this day with you all. Thank you, Creator, for all the love that you share with us, all of your teachings that you bless us with, all of the animals, the trees, the land, the water, the wind, the fire, the stars, the sun, the moon, Mother Earth, all the love that you share with us. Let's say thank you. Thank you. I can't hear you guys. Thank you. We're truly blessed. I feel that was one big part of my healing journey was looking at oneself. And it's hard. It's hard to truly look at you and what you've been through, all of the hardships, all of the tough times. It's hard to look at all of that and look at all of what our ancestors have been through, but they did all of that for us to be here today. I want to share a song. My Auntie Ruby wrote this, I think. It's a sunrise song. See if I can remember it now. Well, my auntie's song's not coming out, so I guess it's my uncle's song. Ahuthi is ha ha yo hey ha 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 yo hey ha 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 yo hey ha ha yo hey ha 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 Hawet Kehatsi, Hawet Kehatsi, Yahutis. Ha hayo hey ha, ha hayo hey ha, ha hayo hey ha, hayo hey ha. Hawet na hetistas, hawet na hetistas, hawet na hetistas, hahutis. Ha hayo hey ha, ha hayo hey ha, ha hayo hey ha, hayo hey ha. Hawet nebahinzu, hawet nebahinzu, hawet nebahinzu, ahutis. Ha hayo hey ha, ha hayo hey ha, ha hayo hey ha, hayo hey ha. Ha hayo hey ha, ha hayo hey ha, ha hayo hey ha, hayo hey ha. Yee. So the story to that song, my uncle, he, when my cousin Ninzu got married, he wrote that song for her wedding, and in the language, it's saying, now we're here together always. Now we walk together always. Now we gather together. We're here forever always. Yeah, so it's a gathering song, I guess. Yeah. One thing I want to share a bit about is there's been a lot of death going around. A lot of people passing away unexpectedly. Today I think a lot about that. I've been doing a raffle for my brother here, Mike Dejerle. I grew up with him. You know, we knew each other since we were kids, and I just want to thank Prince George and beyond. I did this raffle here for this drum, and another drum here too. To help raise money for funeral expenses. His family was struggling, trying to get him a casket and stuff, and these are the drums that I had left with me, and I posted it to do a raffle. 2 days, you guys have raised over $2,700 for us. So I want to say thank you for my brother Mike. This is for my brother Mike and the family. Yeah, so I wanted to thank you. Thank you for that. Send our prayers to our ancestors, the ones that surround us, that hold us every day, that keep us going. Thank you, Masi. All my relations.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's really nice to see everyone out today. And today we're here to honor our survivors and folks that did not survive, and children that did not survive from residential school. The last residential school closed in British Columbia in 1996. That wasn't that long ago. So today, please, everyone, let's continue our commitment to reconciliation and to the 94 calls to action, and to honor those that have survived residential school and the truth of the history of Canada. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Clay Poutney. Prince George Valemount candidate for the NDP. I'm here today just to kind of speak on, obviously, our families that have been through so much to get to where we are right now. We had a lot of elders that had to relive the past and to relive those truths to bring them forward so we can be here today moving forward as a community. Together is how we move forward in these healing times. So I'd just like to say thank you for everybody braving the cold today. I see we get some nice fall wind in here. And thank you for community and everybody else moving together and not being divided and things like this. Together we're stronger. Awetsa.
I have a dear friend who has traveled even to Vancouver with me. She's all over community. I've asked her to come share her history about Indigenous Wellness Canada. And, you know, we go to Prince George Detox on the occasion and drum with the youth there. She helps people one-on-one. She helps our youth in group meetings. We went down to Vancouver twice now in a row for the Women's Memorial Walk to honor those that were murdered, that went missing, and walked through the downtown Vancouver to honor women. So Indigenous Wellness, Crystal McKinnon is our next speaker. Would you please come on up, Crystal?
Thank you for coming out. I just want to recognize that we are in Lheidli T'enneh territory. Although I live, work, and play here, I am Nishka and Wet'suwet'en. My mother is from Gingolix in the Nass Valley, and my father's side is from Wet'suwet'en. And I'm here to share some of my truth and my opinion on reconciliation. As a lot of you may know who's here beside me, this is my son, Buck. Buck became pretty popular before the pandemic as he struggled with a lot of medical conditions. I'm going to share a little bit about Buck. When I was 20 years old, I got pregnant with Buck, and Buck ended up going overdue, and we were actually lacking staff in our hospital, and as a result, Buck lacked oxygen at birth and had to be resuscitated, and as a result, he got front and mid brain damage. Ultimately, that left him with cerebral palsy. So Buck is mentally aware. He's very limited on his words, though. He has about 5 words that he talks about. The reason why I share this is I don't think we talk enough about mental health and what happens in our head. And I think the biggest problem that we have is that we forget sometimes that we actually have a physical body, and we spend so much time in our mind that we don't think of the body. And if you were to even check out your own body right now and notice your posture, notice if you have physical pain. Are you tense? For my own self, I could say I was always tense. My muscles were always stiff, my shoulders, my neck. I was always stressed out. I constantly traveled back and forth to Children's Hospital with Buck, and right before the pandemic, he ended up with a severe spinal infection, and that infection ended up going into his brain, and he got bacterial meningitis, which resulted in us having to take all foreign objects out of his body, all the titanium. And ultimately, they did not think that Buck would survive that. Thankfully, he did. Then he did something that was maybe the most courageous thing he possibly ever could have done. And that was in the pandemic. He decided he wanted to move out. I had never spent more than 10 days away from him in his entire life. So when there became a bed open at Aim High and he decided to go, I definitely thought it was going to be short term. It's been over 4 years now. Buck is here actually with some of his staff. But I want to share with you what happened behind closed doors that nobody really got to see. And that was when he left me in a pandemic. I lost myself. I didn't know who I was anymore. I had known myself to be Buck's mom, his voice, his driver, his caregiver, his advocate, his entire life. Buck is 24-hour care, as you can see. And to go from having him 24 hours a day to leaving me in a pandemic where I was no longer allowed to visit him, I was not allowed to touch him. In the winter months in our second lockdown, I would talk to him on the telephone through a window. And I share this because every time I share this, it makes my nervous system unregulated. And for those who don't know what that means, is an unregulated nervous system means that every time I talk about something horrible that happened, my body thinks I'm in danger. I start breathing funny, my throat starts to close, sometimes my stomach will hurt. I get that feeling of like flight, that sort of feeling. When I realized that that was happening, it took me quite a while. It was Darren, my partner Darren, we were in lockdown together. And because of Buck's situation, I was missing him so much. I kept my circle really, really small. But what people wouldn't see in that was the depression that came out of me. I was so sad, I was so lonely. I felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. I felt like I completely lost my identity. I was even angry. And I share that because anger is part of grief as well. And it's totally okay to feel angry. It's what do we do with anger when it arrives. And when I realized after a few months of grieving in the pandemic, I realized that I had this like click in my mind that my son was experiencing this differently than me. He was doing okay. Darren was also doing okay. I really was not okay. And when I realized that, I finally thought, this must be something in my head. I wonder if there's something going on in my head that's not going on in theirs. So I started doing courses on my brain and my nervous system. And when I found out what nervous system regulation was and how we all could actually heal ourselves, I decided that that was just something I needed to teach my people. In May 2022, I opened Indigenous Wellness Canada. And with that, what that means is I teach nervous system regulating, I teach emotional freedom techniques. I just finished my mentorship with Dr. Gabor Mate on compassionate inquiry. I travel to communities and I show them about the tension we have in our body. Because is there anybody who has zero pain, zero tension? Is there anybody who ever walks around with zero pain or tension? So the crazy part is that tension and stuff we have in our bodies, those are feelings. And we don't like to talk about our feelings, but feelings is the language of the body. And the pain that we have, it's the resistance of feeling. The longer we resist feeling, the more pain that we get. And that's why they say the feeling's in the healing. So a lot of my contracts that I have right now are Northern Health is my largest contract. We work for youth and detox and youth in the psychiatric unit, and we bridge the gap in culture. So most of my life I wasn't involved in my own culture. I was ashamed of it because a lot of family secrets that we have. I'm the first person in my family to not go to residential school. My parents are still very much affected by it. I was actually just talking to my mom the other day and she was getting emotional about me coming here to talk about it because she's still very angry at the government. And she said, I don't believe there's reconciliation. And I said, well, I thought that too at one point. I said, but you know, we have to use our voices, and my mom doesn't want to use her voice. So from my mom to you guys, she wanted me to say, she feels like there'll be reconciliation when we start using our own people's ways of healing. And that'll be ways such as the holistic ways, going back to what we used to know before they took it all away from us. Back to grounding, back to smudging, back to cold water exposure, humming, singing, all the things that we stopped doing. And I'm going to share that with you. Is for anybody who does not practice nervous system regulating or you don't really know what it is, it's going to be the things that you notice you do, but and I'll give an example. When children gurgle, say, juice or water, the first thing we tell them to do is stop. they are subconsciously regulating their nervous system by doing so. If anybody doesn't gurgle water, I would encourage people to do that as part of your routine. If you like to hum when you're nervous, know that you do that because your body's naturally trying to calm the nervous system. With emotional freedom techniques, when I learned that, so I learned emotional freedom techniques, just making sure my time's okay. When I learned emotional freedom technique, it was through rewiring of the brain. And when I learned about it in my class, it was literally one page. And she just said EFT tapping. If you guys have not heard of EFT tapping, I would highly suggest you look into it. You can YouTube it. You can do it on yourself. You don't have to do it here with me, but you'll notice little kids play with, not just little kids, us as adults, we play with our hands a lot. We tap our fingers a lot. Tapping on the meridian points of your body will just naturally release stagnant energy that we hold in our body. You don't even have to talk, it just automatically does it. By doing that, and these are the larger ones, if you wanted to do it, what happens is you get immediate results of energy moving out of your body. And let me tell you, when my son was in ICU, and somebody said, oh, Christelle, just tap, this will take all your problems away, I probably would have had a choice of words to say to people. But what I can say is if you use it when you don't need it, and it becomes a habit, this energy that releases actually gets replaced with positive energy. And I share that because after I had done the nervous system regulating course, I had a girlfriend who also had a child with cerebral palsy, not as severe as Buck, but her husband went missing in the pandemic. And being a special needs mom whose husband had gone missing, she seemed to be coping fairly well, and I had messaged her and asked her what was it that she was doing to keep herself calm. And she said, I tap several times a day. And it's when she said that to me that I was like, okay, I believe this then, and I did a course to become certified in it. After I had done that and I was waiting for all my other courses, I just thought of this because I see a few people here, is that when I was regulating my nervous system and my son moved out and I couldn't be his caregiver anymore, somebody said, well, why don't you volunteer for a while before, you figure out what you're gonna do with things? And I really dismissed it at first, the volunteering, until literally the next day I was driving in my vehicle and a commercial came on the radio saying hospice was looking for volunteers. So being somebody who's experienced grief most of my life, I figured that that would be probably a pretty good spot for me to go. I've been volunteering at hospice for almost 3 years now. And what I can say is if people are looking to help in our community, that's a really good place to start. A lot of people think it's weird to volunteer at hospice, people who are a little bit uncomfortable with death and dying, but there's so many things to do there, and it's not just about people who are dying. We do actually have good times. We share good conversations there. And so thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming and listening and being a part of this for us.
We have an elder, and she's at the Medicine Wheel Cafe for a long, long time. She's joined the UHMBC Prince George Traditional Drummers. She's part of Indigenous School District 57. I'll let her tell a little more about herself, but this woman is an absolute warrior that holds her sword high in the air, and she is somebody I go to for advice when I'm going through tough times. She's my medicine mama amongst many medicine mamas that have a group, and I absolutely love Amani. She's from the Cherokee Nation. I look up to her, and she just gives. That's what she's about. Is she's built to serve. She gives, and her knowledge is absolutely beautiful. So I want to welcome Elder Amani Miller from the Cherokee Nation. All my relations.
There we go. A little shorter than him. I really enjoy today. I've been really enjoying all the heartfelt ways that each of you find to come together as a community to offer your love and your education and your wisdom to our community. That's really important as we move forward in trying to heal ourselves and heal the community. And there's only one way we can do that, and that's together. This is a hard day for me, as a rule. I have a hard time with this day because of just family dynamics and things that I've had to deal with myself. But what I've noticed is that when we tell each other our stories, we release. And every time you hear someone's story and acknowledge it, you lighten their heart. And you are part of their healing, whether they mention it again or not. I'm the daughter of Joseph Pipeburner. My father went to a residential school called Carlisle, and it was in Pennsylvania. It was the first one that opened. My father was born in 1899. He went to residential school in the early 1900s. And at 10 years old, they found a job for him so he could make a paycheck for the school. And they put him in the coal mines. And the reason we tell our stories is not to make anybody feel bad. There's no judgment in it toward anyone. But every time we tell our stories, for one thing, it helps us heal, but also it does something that's really important if we're going to move forward. It brings awareness. Without awareness, we can't help each other. We can't move forward. And so telling our stories is really important. The elders love to get up and tell their stories now. There was a time when no one would talk, and a time when you didn't mention residential schools. It was either shameful for the person that went, or they were afraid someone would get angry with them. Now we tell our stories, and as we do, we're moving forward. So working together is very important because the consequences of colonization affect us all, and so we heal together. Our drum group is interesting. It's made up of people from all different nations. I'm from the Cherokee Nation in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's my KO, or my territory. But there are people in our drum group that are non-Indigenous. Some are Indigenous, and some are half and half like me. What we do, though, is we're humans together. And so when we drum, we're drumming for everyone. And we're walking together and putting our love out into the community that way. My father taught me some really good lessons about healing and how to help others heal. One of them, my favorite stories, is his story working in the coal mine. And he used to tell me as I got older about what that was like, and that, it was so dark in a coal mine. And he was young. You know, his job was to go ahead of the men, the workers, and check out to see if there was any poisonous gas. And what they did is they tied a rope around his middle section, and if he didn't respond by tugging back, they would drag him back, and that would mean he passed out. So it's a tough job, and he said he spent a lot of time in the dark. And as I got older, one day I asked him, I said, what did you learn from that, Dad? How did you not, because you grew up to be such a good man. How did you grow up from all that darkness? He said what he learned in the dark was to always ask yourself this question: what is the most beautiful thing or outcome I can create with the darkness I've been handed? And so in his mind, he used to create beautiful images while he was in the dark. And so that's what I do. That's what I pass on to younger people. If you're being handed some darkness, learn how to transform that into something beautiful. What would that look like? Well, in my case, I like helping people. I like doing good because it feels good to do good. I hang around with people that are good people. And so it all comes back to me. But I remember those lessons from my father. I grew up in the 50s and 60s. I'm 75 years old. And so the 50s, we had to put up with the Ku Klux Klan in the States. And so I've watched my family have to go through those times, and myself included, because I was somewhere in the middle. So how do I take all that unkindness, all that cruelty, and transform it into something good? Well, doing what I do, the Medicine Wheel Cafe, it's a safe place to heal. People can come there and get help and a cup of coffee, and we reach out. We're a community outreach. And so I'm doing a lot of the things I love right in my own environment. I've been creating that environment for a long time. I take people out to the river and I show them how to build a medicine wheel. I wore my medicine wheel skirt today. I don't know if you can see it because this is long on me, but I'm wearing a medicine wheel. And if you notice, there's 4 colors in it. And so I'm about working with community. There's 4 colors, different cultures, and everything in between. And so if you notice, each quadrant comes to a point in the middle. So all those colors, all those people come together in a PowerPoint. And so we were never meant to heal alone. We heal with each other. So the more you tell your stories, the more you acknowledge those stories and listen to people, the more awareness will come. And with the awareness, I think of reconciliation so much as not reconciling to something or going back and rebuilding from a common point. We really didn't have that. How I think of it is building something new that we've never had. And so it's interesting, somebody made a comment once, how come the women in your group that are non-Indigenous wear the skirts? Well, to an Indigenous woman, it means, we know the histories of the skirt, by the way. It means I am still standing. And to an ally who wears the skirt, it means, and I'm standing beside you. Sorry. It's a hard day. But the fact is, to sum it all up, I'm so glad to be here and in the fight, in the fray. I like to be right in the middle of it. At 75 years old, I have lots of meaning to my life. I'm so glad to be part of the healing process and whatever I can bring to it. So thank you all from my heart for drumming with us, for praying with us, praying together as a community. Thank you.
I am my mother's savage daughter, the one who runs barefoot, cursing sharp stones. I am my mother's savage daughter. I will not cut my hair. I will not lower my voice. My mother's child is a savage. She looks for her romance in the colors of stones, in the faces of cats, in the falling of feathers, in the dancing of fire, in the curve of old bones. I am my mother's savage daughter, the one who runs barefoot, cursing sharp stones. I am my mother's savage daughter. I will not cut my hair. I will not lower my voice. My mother's child dances in darkness and sings heathen songs by the light of the moon, and watches the stars and renames the planets, and dreams she can reach them with a song and a broom. I am my mother's savage daughter, the one who runs barefoot, cursing sharp stones. I am my mother's savage daughter. I will not cut my hair, I will not lower my voice. My mother's child is a savage. She looks for a romance in the colors of stones, in the faces of cats, in the falling of feathers, in the dancing of fire, in the curve of old bones. I are our mother's savage daughters, the ones who run barefoot, cursing sharp stones. We are our mother's savage daughter. We will not cut our hair, we will